All right, now that we have our databases downloaded, we're going to need to configure our RUSLE2 software to be used in our class demonstration. And so I want to walk you through just some of the basic setups of how to do that. So we still have our plan template running in the background. Remember that Caltrans plan template. That's going to give basically RUSLE2 a certain look. It simplifies the screen and really kind of reduces what we're seeing to what would be of interest to a construction site uh, and eliminate a lot of the agricultural information that would not typically be of interest to us. So what you're going to want to do now is go up to the top menu again, up to the top left corner. This time click on File, and then we're going to go to Open, the first one there, and we're going to go to Profile. Go to Profile, click on Profile. Now it's going to bring up quite a few different options that we can click on here. Now, one of the things I want you to see is the Connection Course Classroom demo, which you may not have on your computer because you haven't done this yet. But I bring this up for a reason to show you that once we have gone through all these steps, we can do a save as, and I'm going to have you do that. And we'll save it as our classroom demo. That way you don't have to repeat a lot of the setup and you can just jump right to using RUSLE2. So, but for now, and probably the option you're seeing is default. So we're going to select default and hit open. And whether you're doing this for the classroom or for a real site, a new site, you're going to want to follow this path. So it's going to be the default that we're going to do. All right, so now we see a slope. Now that may resemble your project. It may not resemble your project, but notice that it's like a cross section of your project. And so we're going to be configuring this right here. So in your class resources, you should have a classroom page. Let me bring that up. It should look like this, the Connections course, RUSLE2 classroom exercise. And I provide some instructions. I'm going to be walking you through these instructions here. We're going to be selecting climate. We're going to be selecting our soil. But one of the first things that I want to do is work on our slope. And so we're going to have a little more complex slope than the default. We're going to have a 50-foot section that is 20% slope. Then we'll have a long 500-foot section that's a 1% slope. And then at the end of the project, we'll have another 20-foot section that's a 25% slope. And so we're going to be working with this type of situation. So what we want to do is go ahead and start configuring it for that. So what we're going to do is click on the slope length. So if you put those pieces together, we just select that 50 plus 500 plus 20 is going to be 570, right? So we're going to have 570 foot slope length. Now, don't worry about steepness. We're going to be working on that here in a moment. So go to topography, the tabs right down here. You'll notice there's several tabs. Right now it's on soil. Let's go to topography. And what we're going to do here is create some segments. And this is where some confusion can come in, and this is also where RUSLE2 can get a little squirrely sometimes if you don't select the right option. So hopefully I can help steer you through this. So we're going to add in a segment. Now, when we do that, we get this box, and this is really important to pay attention to. So don't just click yes or no without reading it. The box is in, the program must know whether with this change you intend the overall slope length to stay the same or to change as a result. So if you want to stay the same, click yes. If you want to change as a result of this change, then say no. Well, we already said we want the slope length to be 570. So we're going to say yes. And that's really important to do that. Otherwise, it can get a little squirrely. Now we're going to add in our third segment, and we didn't get asked that same question. Now, what we're going to do is start adjusting these. And so let's take the first segment, and if you look at that sheet that we just looked at, you remember it was 50 feet long. And the steepness, we come up with the same question here. Yes, we want the overall length to stay the same, so we're going to click yes again. Very important step. And then the steepness, if you remember, for that upper section was 20%. Now in this version of RUSLE2, it's wanting it as a percentage. If you were using one of the newer versions of RUSLE2, I believe they want it as a decimal, but this is a percentage. All right, and then the middle section was the longest. It was 500 feet, right? But it was also the least steep, and so it was 1% slope. And then it's done the math for us. It now knows, because we said keep the same dimensions. It's 20-foot segment length, and the steepness is going to be 25%. All right. And you can notice that it does some auto calculations in the background. When we see those red diagonal lines, that means it's working on the calculation. All right, so now you can see a cross section of our project that we're going to be working on. Now let's go and set up the soil. Okay, so we're going to go here. Now we're just going to assume it's all the same soil. And let's go to our instructions here. It says use 257 Tokay Urban Land Complex. All right, so let's see if we can find that. So we're going to open it up. Here's San Joaquin County. And we're going to go down to 257. There it is. Open that up, and it's a Tokay fine sandy loam. So go ahead and double click on that, and that will allow it to populate in. You'll see that it's working on calculations in the background, but now we have the soil type. And then the third area we're going to set up to get ready for this is management. So with management, there's a couple different ways we can approach this. One of the ways I found the easiest and the less troublesome is to do right here up above the graph. It says add a break. Now, when we talk about management, what we're doing is we're talking about, okay, we got these three segments. We got that steep upper area, then we got the relatively flat area, and then we have the steep ending area. So you might think of this as, I don't know, a subdivision that's in some hilly area where they've done some pre-grading, and the building area is relatively flat, 1%, slope. That's pretty flat. Where maybe leading into it right on the edge, the 50 feet on the edge, it's maybe steep, and then as it transitions off of the building pad area or the subdivision area, then it's steep again for a little bit, maybe dropping down to a roadway or something like that. So each of those areas are going to be managed maybe a little differently throughout the project. So maybe as now we're doing some finish grading, we want to look at it. Now, we're going to then add in a break here. And what we're going to do is we're going to treat that upper area separate. So you see the scissors right here and the crosshairs. We can then clip right there in the green. So notice that you have three layers. Your green layer is your management layer. Your brown textured one is your soil, and then the gray one is the topo. All right, and then we're going to add in another break for the management, and that would be after the flat area, before the next steep area. And so we'll put that in right there, and there we go. And notice that it pretty much guessed and got it right where we wanted that. So 50, 520. All right, so now when it comes to setting the management, that's what we'll be talking through in the class. So you're pretty much ready now to dive into how we're going to do this. Oh, one other thing is we have to set up the climate. So let's go back to soil, and we forgot to set the location. So go ahead and on the soil tab, notice I'm on the soil tab, right under the graph it says location. We could have done this right away. Click on USA, click on California, and go down to San Joaquin County, right here. Now you'll notice some options. It took me a long time to figure out what the R is. Now the R is not the erosivity factor, not the R factor, at least not directly. If you've ever done a R calculation manually, you'll remember that you had to reference some isoerodients. Now, maybe you had never done that. That's okay. In your class uh, um, resources, we provided this map right here. And this is from the state water boards, the isoerodent R values. It's not the erosivity R value that we're used to in RUSLE and in doing um, risk determination. But let's look at San Joaquin County. Let's just go in here and notice that there's two contours that this map shows passing through here. And so we have 10 contour, then the 20 contour. In fact, Lodi is like right on the 20 contour. Um, and then presumably we have a gradient of R values, maybe somewhere around 3 to 5, starting down in South County, and maybe extending up to, I don't know, 25, 26, and the very tip of the Northeast County portion. So you could maybe imagine some of these contours going through here. So that would help you. If you know where in San Joaquin County generally your project's at, that will give you some help and guidance in doing that. So let's say we are definitely in Lodi. So if we click this again, let's go ahead and go through here. Go to San Joaquin County, and here's our options. All right, so if we are right on the 20 line, then we have an option. We have 18 to 20 and 20 to 25, or I'm sorry, 20 to 22. So we're going to select the 18 to 20. Is it that important? No. And in the class, we'll talk about maybe how to do a little better educated guess than what we're representing here. It's not all that important, but you'll want to select that, and we'll talk about how to refine that. So now you're set up. And the last thing we're going to need to do is to save the file. So go up to the file name or file up here at the upper left corner, do a save as, and you can type in any name you want. Now, I've done this before, so we're just going to override it, but we're going to say Connections Course Classroom Demo, or whatever name you'll recognize. It's not that important that you use the same name. So hit save, and because it already exists, do you want to replace it? We're going to say yes, and you'll see right here, Profile Connections Course Classroom Demo. Now you're good. You can close it out. And now that everything's closed out, if you wanted to jump back into it, let's say, let's just close the software here. We just go back to where we started, binaries, open RUSLE2, and this time we're going to hit, you can hit OK there, and we can just repeat what we did before and minimize that, and then go up to open, profile, and there it is, the demo, and there's where we left off. So now you're ready for the class. I'll see you in class, and we'll have all sorts of fun talking about RUSLE.